Well, let's talk about Portland now. We've certainly seen political violence in that place. Donald Trump is determined to clean it up. He says it's like a war zone. It's in decay. It's crime-riddled. The Oregon governor obviously doesn't agree. The Socialist City Council doesn't agree. But even the New York Times, Josh, is finally questioning the wisdom of far-left rule and asking what happens when socialists are in charge. Portland offers a glimpse. Josh, let's take a glimpse at Portland. This is the third world conditions you have to negotiate to reach Barnes and Noble at the Lloyd Center.
In Lloyd Center, and we parked in the parking garage, and now we're going to go up the stairs into the mall. And this is what is here. I wish you could smell it, because it smells like pee. New pee and old pee. Watch your step, there's pee on the floor.
So this is the only way to get upstairs if you're parked right here to get to Lloyd Center.
Josh, I'll take that back. I've been to third world countries. They're normally in a lot better shape than that.
You know, Portland once upon a time was a shining example of what a forward-looking and forward-thinking American city might look like. I'm thinking back 30, 40 years ago. But at this point, I think you're right, Rita. I've actually never been to Portland, but based on all that I've been able to glean there, my friend Andy No has been ground zero with the Portland Antifa riots for years and years now. Based on all that I've seen, I think you can make a very strong argument that Portland is in worse condition on a day-to-day basis from a cost of living, from a quality of life, from a crime perspective than your typical sub-Saharan African city. I mean, that's essentially what it looks like to me. But Portland has also become a shining example, unfortunately, of a broader national trend, which is you have these cities that are governed in politically monolithic fashion by Democrats year after year, decade after decade. I'm thinking of cities like Baltimore, Maryland, Detroit, Michigan, St. Louis, Missouri, Portland. So many of these cities just have mayor after mayor after mayor who are of one party only. Chicago, another big example there. I can't think of a single example. I literally cannot think of a single example off the top of my head of an American city that has had monolithic uniparty Democratic governance for decades and has been better off because of it. But the cherry on top is because the New York Times here, this is the article they're saying, oh, here's socialism at work. Dude, you guys have covered for Zohran Mamdani. The New York Times has offered all sorts of apologia for Zohran freaking Mamdani, a guy, I would argue, for whom socialist is actually far too kind. This is a guy who literally quotes Karl Marx's Communist Manifesto. He is a dyed-in-the-wool Marxist communist. I think socialist is genuinely not accurate. He's an actual literal communist. So if the New York Times, a month before the election, that's probably going to put this Hamas-supporting pro-jihad commie in the mayoral office there. Really? You guys are crying foul this late in the game? You had a really long time, the New York Times, back in the Democratic primary to just try to stop them there. And now it's so ridiculous. But ultimately, Rita, you reap what you sow. And the people of New York, I think, are tragically going to reap what they sow here. And it's going to look a lot like Portland sooner rather than later, I fear.
Now, before you go, Josh, President Trump will address the Israeli parliament, the Knesset, about his triumph in brokering a historic peace deal. This is going to be something that's going to be talked about for years to come. But I want to ask you about some of the anti-Israeli sentiment that has been normalised in America. Listen to this discussion between Democrat Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib and Hassan Piker. Listen to how they talk about Israel.
It is absolutely a violent apartheid state.
No, it's an ideology. Zionism is an exterminationist ideology built around ethno-religious supremacist values. So when people say like, oh well, you know, I'm a liberal Zionist, like I want there to be a Jewish.
I've heard that so many times.
I'm a liberal Zionist. I want there to be a Jewish ethno state. I'm like, okay. Like, what do you mean? It's like saying you're like a liberal Nazi. You want an Aryan majority ethno state?
Josh, I'm going to ask you to be succinct. I'm sure there's plenty you could say, but what's your response to that?
You know, Rita, as the great Dennis Prager always says, you know, how many Muslim majority countries are in the world? And the Jews are not entitled to one tiny state around the size of New Jersey. I mean, it's just so utterly preposterous. You know, unfortunately, Rita, I wish that the Israel issue were solely an issue where the left is crazy, but there are some fringe voices on the right that are getting way out of hand on this stuff as well. I'm not sure if this reached Australia, but I was actually accused this past week while I was offline for a Jewish holiday by Candace Owens of being complicit in the assassination of my friend Charlie Kirk. I kid you not, that is literally what she accused me of. It is an insane, deranged, evil thing to say. And the only reason that she is doing this, the only reason is because I myself am Jewish and a supporter of Israel, and it complicates their narrative that Charlie Kirk actually was a firm, dyed-in-the-wool friend of the Jews and supporter of Israel. So it's on the very, very fringes of the quote-unquote far right. I'm not even sure I want to call Candace Owens the far right there, but it's very much in the mainstream left as well, and it's a big problem that we have to address all across the political spectrum.
Josh, just on Candace Owens, there are plenty of conspiracy theories right now about Charlie Kirk's murder, about whether the official narrative is accurate. How did your name start being mentioned in these conspiracy theories?
It's not entirely clear. I think the alleged series of events is that I was in this very active WhatsApp chat with Charlie Kirk, where he was blowing off steam and venting the day before his assassination about how he lost a $2 million a year Turning Point USA donation from a prominent Jewish donor. And then Candace took this tweet of mine from a day or two before Charlie's assassination, which was literally about an entirely different topic, about the horrific, savage butchery of Irina Zarutska on the Charlotte light rail. And I was quote tweeting a tweet from Donald Trump about public executions, and I said based. And Candace Owens took this totally out of context. And he was like, "Oh my God, Josh Hammers is foreshadowing the assassination of Charlie Kirk for turning against Israel." I mean, it's contemptible. I'm a lawyer. I know this is likely defamatory conduct. We're looking into possible legal action there, and I'll keep you apprised of it.
Josh Hammer, thanks for your time.